Hey there guys, this is ObsidianChill. Got another video for you today. And as you can see in the footage in the background, as by the title, this is Survival Mode Round 30. This is the last round in this Season 1 Survival Mode, and has been completed earlier this afternoon as the time of this recording. There was another league also on the US side that did it, my league Noxious. That was Koss, Ethan, VSync, and Serene. And the EU side actually did it first. My league there, ironically, Legacy. That's Stratos, Happy, Aileen, and Elusian. They're currently, we're the only, obviously these people here, as you can see in the video, BRITTENY New, Miss Universe, and myself, and select few. So currently, we're the only 3 leagues that have completed round 30. And I thought I'd at least upload the full video. Now, it's a tiny bit sped up. It's 1.25 times. The whole video is about 41 minutes. I felt that was a little long because it's not really, a lot of it's just me dodging, me not being in range of flurry shot, because obviously it's trying to play it safe, obviously. So a lot of the damage just comes from orbitals when he's ice blocked. So I didn't feel like it needed to be at 1 time speed. It could easily be 1.25 and still look fine. Like, I don't want it like to be like 2-4 times, because then it just looks weird and awkward. So I think this is kind of like the sweet spot. So it is still obviously a longer video as well. So what I thought I'd do with this commentary is kind of just do a review of Survival Mode. Obviously, now that it's come to a close, beating round 30, we should have the Golden Crown, I'm assuming, at the end of the month. Now, back when they did this Survival Mode stream, they talked about rewards. So basically, if you make it, it doesn't have to be round 30, but if you make it the farthest rounds on your server, you get the Gold Crown. And then say if there's 4 groups that get there at the same time, you'd share the Gold Crown with them. It's going to be like the Zeus Crown style accessory. And there's also silver crowns, and I don't know if there's a bronze crown. But I'm assuming you would get those at the end of Survival Mode, at the end of the month. I don't know what kind of recap or anything that DCUO is doing. At the moment, they haven't tweeted out or haven't congratulated the EU guys who did it a few days ago. I know obviously there's not much time to congratulate us and Noxious as well, because we did it just a few hours ago. But it's a little bit surprising that they wouldn't congratulate or have any kind of acknowledgement. There was a forum post that someone else made. I don't think Meps has commented on it, and there hasn't been anything on the DCUO Twitter. You think that if they're trying to popularize or show some highlights to these people that beat it, then you think there would have been some kind of tweet. Like, I know I used to play Destiny 2, and you'd have, when a new raid came out, you'd have devs watching like a live stream of you beating the raid. You'd have them all the congratulations of beating it first and completing it, where DC has never really done anything about that. I believe Milbarge was in the stream for some of Elusian's run. You may have caught that stream. He was streaming rounds 25 through 30. They did it without the progress point, so it added that extra level of difficulty as well. But kind of getting through review here. Now, obviously, some of the experience that I'm going to basically tie it back to when I say things are easier or in comparison is basically based on past Survival Mode experience. I wasn't around Survival Mode in 2014 when OA, and was it Trigon or was it just OA? I think it was just OA, because that was right after GU36, and pretty much every PC player had quit them because they kind of screwed over phase dodge and jump canceling. So I wasn't around for the very first year, but every year after that, 2015, 2016, 2017, I was around for, and completed around 2016 FOSS round 20, and done all the other high rounds on the other SMs as well. So there's plenty of experience to draw on to base on what this Survival Mode and how it compares or relates to previous SMs. Now, overall, this Survival Mode is a lot easier compared to other SMs. Now, we can kind of break that down, because I know that's just very like a generic statement and not really telling, but we'll kind of break it down round by round. So we've got round 1, or the whole setup for this round was basically 1 through 10, 10 through 20, 10 through 30. Now, I didn't believe that was really necessary. My only thinking was that they wanted round 1 through 10 to be like just a cakewalk for marks. Anyone can do it. Any kind of pub group can do it. To give them some kind of sense that they can do SM and maybe try for the higher rounds, or at least get them involved with the content. Because they did put a whole bunch of rewards. That's the main difference between this SM and others, is the focus on rewards. Before it was just the titles, or you get like the odd pets, but the pets didn't do anything, and they were RNG based, so you weren't guaranteed like certain pets at certain rounds. Well, you were guaranteed them, but you weren't guaranteed which pet you would get. It was all RNG, which pet could roll. You could get any kind of I think it was like 4 or 5 possible pet trinkets per SM. And then if you beat it, there was no like base items, there was no like extra reward, or you basically had the styles at round 10, and then the previous styles would drop, like the variant styles, but that was pretty much it. So this SM is definitely more focused on rewards, which is nice. It gives more incentive for players to run it. There's a whole bunch, like there's new trinkets to get, there's great trinkets to get, there's holographic materials, there's the chromatic ember material, the holographic eyes, all the extra pet base items, all the old base items. So there's a whole bunch of rewards, and obviously they did that for replayability. If they're gonna basically attribute this much game resources to survival mode, they have to be able to show profit or show results for it, or they can't really go back and say, yeah, season 1 was a success, let's do it again, or season 1 no one replayed it, no one reset it, we're not making any money off this, there's no point in doing it, because that's obviously it boils down to the only reason they brought SM back was a way that they thought they could profit off it with all the rewards and the in-game style items, which people go for it, all those cosmetic items, and then they made the rounds at least 1 through 10 easier, so that more people would be exposed to it. Same thing with making it a 4-man. The main point of this SM, the main difference is that it's 4-man compared to 8. While I still don't agree with it, I'd much rather prefer an 8-man, because 4-man, the setups are so limiting. You're going to have to always have 2 tanks for some rounds. You're always going to have that obviously a healer, and then the troller's stuck doing all the damage, so he has to do a battle troll. Not even like a power troll is needed in 4-man content, just because there's no roles using enough power, and that's based more off this type of SM. So 8-man setups, I'd like a lot more. Obviously, some of the high runs, you're sitting at 4 tanks. You can set it with 2 trolls, 2 healers. Run a DPS. There's much more group combination setups in the 8-man. It seems much more rewarding to me personally. But it comes down to 4-man is more accessible to a lot of people. It's harder to find 8 good people. Most leagues don't have 8 players that would be SM ready or be viable to take an SM, or it's more people to pug, more headaches, more people not wanting to play the roles or learn them. So 4-man was more accessible to the community, so I can see why they did that. Now that's not to say that hopefully, like a season 2 could be 8-man, and they could switch back and forth. Like season 1 is 4, season 2 is 8, season 3 is 4, and kind of do a rotation like that. That I'm sure would be appreciated. But to take a look at the bosses here, so round 1 we've got Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor is basically a carbon copy of previous SMs, with basically his only dangers being his laugh, Bunker Buster, or his laser. All of them are completely avoidable. They did do at least change it from tests where you couldn't target pets. Like on the test server, Bunker Buster would rarely ever go on an actual player. It was always on a pet. So at least they changed that. But even Lex Luthor, all you have to worry about is his solar flame. That's really all he can do. Bunker Buster is very easily avoidable. It's not as bad as it previously once was. So like rounds 1, 11, and 21 are pretty much freebie rounds. I know there's a lot of groups struggling on that, but that's more just because positioning or the tanks being bad, not being able to counter. But that's pretty much what it boils down to. Same thing with King Shark. King Shark, once again, very easy boss. It's King Shark based on the regular version, so even if he charges and starts to like frenzy someone, you can lunge him out of it, because it's based on the regular version of King Shark, not the elite version of King Shark from Crown of Thorns. He's got his whirlpool spawns, which aren't really an issue. They're slow moving, and the room is huge in this SM. That's the other kind of underlying issue. Like, say this survival mode is based off Trigon SM's room size, it'd be much harder. But yeah, King Shark, basically his only issue is his Stomp Smash. You could try to face tank him, but the same thing he could do is like his whirlpool juggle on you, spawn the whirlpools on you as well. So the same thing with Lex Luthor, you can bait him into solar flames and range attacks because you're staying range. King Shark, you can bait him into staying range and just doing Stomp Smashes. Baron Savage is a completely easy round, once again a freebie round. It's a staff boss. He does the same thing as he does in JFA. Basically a carbon copy from that second boss in JFA, or Injustice for All. Other than that, even his skull attack, like when he he jumps and shakes his staff in the air and does that skull attack, even blocking that only did like 30k damage on round 22. So even at the higher rounds, it's not a one-shot. Like Baron Savage has no one-shots unless basically you're standing in front of it. It's very easy just to kind of bait him, stay at range, and there's not really any issue with him. Johnny Quick, same thing with 4, 14, and 24. Johnny Quick has those moments where he can wipe you, especially if the tank is slow on the counters on that his pull-in attack, his tornado pull. That can certainly still one-shot at rounds. If you get his clone phase and you get the chain lightning phase at the same time, that can also be an issue. Let's see here. Other than that, that's really only the 2 times. Well, of course, if you don't DPS, if you don't kill the center clone, then have the one shot from the actual clone explosion. But the clones have hardly any health. You could just like tap it down and have it killed, no problem. Vampire Lord is the first actually significant boss in this SM. Now, this SM really only has probably about 3 bosses out of the 10 that are actually difficult. Vampire Lord is certainly that one. He's got a Solar Flame. He's got his NPC spawns that he spawns. The Snake is very devastating, especially with that Skull attack if you get in range. He's got the Pool Suck In with the Shadow Vortex. They did have the consumables being used from the lamp event housing. That I don't agree with. I really wish they would have left out those consumables. If they didn't have like the blue pirate auras, which basically gave you immunity from the pools, the tanks couldn't stand them. If they didn't give you the green righteous pirate consumables, those ones do like 700k damage. They do more damage than Orbital Strike. You've got the Radiant Light, which stuns all the NPCs so they don't throw their attacks, stun the Snake out of a Skull attack. So it just, and then you had the glitch on the villain side, where the villain side they used to be able to close the pools with the Illuminating Torch, which was an exploit. That wasn't available on the hero side. It was grayed out, but on the villain side it was. So you had all the villain groups passing easily 5, 15. I don't think they passed 25 with it, but there might have been some groups. I'm just not sure. At least on the US side, there wasn't that many villain groups that passed 20. But that's the thing. Vampire Lord was the first legitimately hard round, but it's made more trivial with all these consumable usage, especially on the villain side. Being able to close the pools, you can't fail the round. So I know there's a lot of villains that use that to at least get the progress point, especially on 15 and 25. Or not, I'm not too sure about 25, but I know for sure on 5 and 15. So I don't agree with the consumables being used. If they would have left that out, Vampire Lord would have stayed a realistic boss. You have Black Manta. Black Manta is one of the easiest freebie rounds there are. 6, 16, and 26 are all super easy, pretty much impossible to fail. All you do is you chase Black Manta around the outside of the map. His bomb phase is really easy. You've got like 10 seconds to get 4 or 5, and they only take like a second per cog on the bomb. So, and then the bomb he spawns on himself is easily avoidable with the room size. The heat vision can technically, it does kill you if you don't have Amazon deflection and like a breakout trinket. Like I died to heat vision as well. But the problem is these bosses don't have any follow-up attacks. It's basically they do the skull, they kill someone, and then they go back to the normal attacks or block, or basically their lazy rotation, where it's really easy to get a res. On Black Manta, you're not going to have 2 people go down. In a 4-man SM, the only danger comes from when 2 people are down at once, because then the tank with the boss aggro is still very rarely going to get that res because he's going to get attacked through it. So then it's up to the healer to get both reses, which is unlikely to happen sometimes. Most likely it's going to be a group wipe. Where if only one person dies, it's very easy to get that res because there's no danger of any kind of follow-up attack from the boss. So that's why Black Manta is just incredibly easy. Deathstroke, same thing. It follows the same lines where really Deathstroke comes down to the tanks. If the tanks can counter him properly on his knife execution and his knife throws, then they're fine. Deathstroke will not be passed by, like on 17, 27, will be much harder without a proper tank. If you've got a tank that doesn't know how to counter properly, that round is going to be a struggle. But Deathstroke himself is very easy. The icon suit can easily be dropped by 2 of the green crystal turrets, so you don't have to worry about dropping tons of orbitals or having a DPS for damage. All you need is 2 of those turrets and just rotate that. So you can drop the shield without even any DPS. I could just pop a turret, the tank could pop a turret, done. Just those 2 turrets alone will drop his icon suit, and then basically just keep going. The icon suit, if it does explode, it's basically a one-shot and a round wipe, so you've certainly got that going for you. But realistically, if you are doing the icon suit properly with those turret trinkets or a proper rotation or even running with the DPS, Deathstroke is very easy fight. It comes down to the tanks, really. So you got Minotaur. Minotaur saw a lot of changes from test server. Minotaur used to be able to just kind of walk around. Like same thing in the alert. Minotaur was an odd choice for a boss. It basically was pulled from an alert, not from a raid. So it basically he was very susceptible to other kind of aggro types. He's got his charges, the chains. But really, 8 and 18 are pretty much a cakewalk. Not really an issue with them. 28 can be a little bit stressful. Because it's a very long round, because he's constantly running out of damage. You can only orbital him when he's doing his days phase. Sometimes it's hard to line up the chain for that. So 28 can see some struggles, but overall it's not like an impossible round or anything like that, but I can certainly see where groups would struggle on 28 compared to like 8 and 18. That brings us to Ultimate Soldier around 9. Round 9, Ultimate Soldier is one of those legit bosses as well. So really, Johnny Quick and Ultimate Soldier are the legit bosses. Ultraman can be hard. Ultraman's only hard because of the damage that he does. We'll get to that when I talk about round 10, 20, and 30. But going back to Ultimate Soldier, once again, a very legit boss, pulled from the raid. So he's got his grenades, he's got his flamethrowers, he's got his mortar attacks, he's got his chain lightning. So basically, all his attacks are based off proximity. So basically, if your group is standing, if you have 2 tanks near the boss a lot, he'll do his arc lightning a lot more, his ground lightning. He'll do like his 5-tap rifle slam. But the realistic, what you have to do as Ultimate Soldier is to range tank him. So basically, at that point, range tanking him, you're baiting him into either the flamethrower or the mortar. The mortar is an issue because it can basically, it's a delayed hit. That's what I was going to say. So mortar's a delayed hit. So basically, if you get hit by mortar in gray range, like you're not in red range to lunge it, you're basically hit by the first mortar damage, and then by the time you get towards red range to lunge Ultimate Soldier, you're going to get hit by the second hit of mortar, and then that most likely is going to juggle and stun you, and then you could die. There's also obviously the flamethrowers you can be in range of. He's got 2 of the flamethrowers, which is basically head on, and he's got a side-to-side one where you can die off to the side. You can see me died to that often as well because the animation's weird on it. Obviously, his arc lightning will kill any player that's not pretty much a tank. That's why the healer has to stay completely out of range in that fight. You can't risk the healer going down as well as the DPS controller on round 9, 19, and 29 because, once again, 2 reses are very difficult. And at that point, you're just basically, ping-ponging aggro off him. But Ultimate Soldier, because of his healing mechanic as well as shield, does take more damage than the Icon suit, so you have to make sure you're breaking that as well. Sometimes it's difficult for just one battle troll or a DPS. Sometimes you need the second tank to do some flurry shots as well. But I can certainly see 9, 19, and 29 being the struggle for a lot of groups, just because of how many mechanics are going on with Ultimate Soldier at once. So we've got, that leaves us to round 10, 20, and 30, which is Ultraman. Now, Ultraman itself is more like organized chaos. There's not too much issues with Ultraman. Obviously, it's based on just how much damage he does. Like his Stomp Smash will kill you. His backhand can kill you. If you're in front of his lunge, he can kill you. His like little heat vision beam doesn't really do anything. The scatter shots could all line up and hit you. The statue, like the lasso, is more like annoying. It's not really going to kill you. The mines aren't going to really kill you. The flame that only ticks for like 20k, I think. So it's more just there's so much stuff going on at once with Ultraman. It's very easy to catch a death, and then since obviously there's so much going on, it can be hard to get those reses sometimes. But other than that, it's not really that difficult of a round. It just comes down to how much health he has, how much little damage you do, and then how much damage he can do to the tanks. So this is why pretty much the strategy falls down to just like the one in Penny, where you want to summon as many pets as you can. So pet trinkets, backups, void gazers, robot sidekicks, any kind of pet, because he can target pets. So basically he can do his charge towards pets, his backhand towards pets. He can do his ground pound towards pets. That's why decoy is very handy as well for gadgets, because it can survive that, as you'll see multiple times in this run. So Ultraman, as long as you're doing the correct methods, he's pretty much easy to get. Like I think it's much harder to fail on 29 than it is 30. 30 comes down to luck. If you get bad luck, like say the tank gets lassoed and then he gets a mine spawn on him, or the Ultraman does backhand or swoop attack while he's lassoed, he's going to die. Then somebody else could go in for the res. He could ground pound and kill them. Like the only times you fail round 30 is basically based off RNG luck. Like something just unlucky happens. Where in 29, it's much the same thing can happen. You can get unlucky in 29, but it's more likely that you failed 29 because either you healed back, or you didn't launch the flamethrower, or a tank got caught by the mortars. So Ultraman is much more of a straightforward fight as well compared to some of the other instances. So overall, it comes down to Lex Luthor being way too easy, King Shark being too easy, Savage is easy, Johnny Quick is okay, but once again not hard. Black Manta is really easy. Deathstroke once again okay. Minotaur is okay as well. So you've got basically Vampire Lord, Ultimate Soldier, and Ultraman being the only like difficult bosses. So basically you've got 3 rounds. you got technically 30 rounds because it's not like any randomized boss order. There's no different bosses, so you've got all these bosses that are basically freebie rounds. So if you beat, like, say you beat 25, you can pretty much, you're guaranteed to get 27 because Deathstroke and Black Manta you're not going to wipe on, so that's basically a free progress point. And then basically you just have to do 28 and to get to 29. So it's just, I guess that's the other thing as well. The progress points are much more spread out every other round. Once again, I see that being more just replayability. People get upset if, like, say in the old days they do like 4 or 5 rounds in SM, then they wipe. They have to spend hours to get back to where they were. Where in this SM it's every odd round, so that basically gives more opportunities for them to go in at a round they beat. I can see why that's definitely decreases the difficulty, but I can see why that's I don't mind that at the same time. But it boils down to this SM could have been a lot harder, but the boss choices they did and the room size they did just doesn't lend itself well to that. Now, that's not to say that this isn't something they can build on. It's certainly possible that in the future we could have a great SM, much higher difficulty. I think this is more just like the tester round for SM, where the devs obviously said on their live stream they didn't expect people to get to, I think, 26 or 27, and now multiple groups have beaten around 30. So obviously we've exceeded their expectations. Obviously the devs aren't aware of the disparity between might and precision that I've gone through in my previous video. So they obviously don't know what the players are doing to actually clear this. And I guess that kind of brings us into the next point as well. There's technically, I didn't want to show it because then obviously you'd use it, but there's a way to pretty much exploit lunges to the point where you're not going to take any damage. So if you see videos on YouTube where the tanks are just kind of spamming like one-handed lunge back and forth, or shield lunging back and forth, what they're doing is essentially exploiting lunge. Think of it like the roll glitch as well back during like PvP. So basically you're lunging around to keep yourself perma immunity to damage, and it has very high success with avoiding damage. So that's the issue here. You get some groups and some videos you're going to see in the future where they're going to just be spamming that, and while technically it is a mechanic and technically the devs can't do anything about it because they'd have to recode everything, it just comes down to that cheese where it's just really cheesy. Same thing with, like, say like nature healing with either Gemini. Obviously that can proc it on bug form and get supercharges. That's once again still a game mechanic. It's just kind of cheesy. But you could say the same with like water having 2 shields and the other power set's not having it. That's not like exploiting, it's just cheesy. But it comes down to that where it's in the game, you can use it, but at the same time it's just kind of whether you want your morals or how you beat it, because that's something like that has been around in the past to some degree as well. It's just Sath revamp kind of screwed everything up, but that's more case by case basis. And so if you see like a comment in a YouTube video about that or comment on the forum about that, that's kind of what some players are talking about. It's just kind of like, something going on behind closed doors basically, but I certainly didn't want to show what it looked like and stuff like that. So you'll see soon enough when you see other videos where they possibly be doing it. But really that brings us about it. I didn't expect this round mode to be beaten this quickly. I thought it'd be a little bit harder. But the scaling between the rounds, just like, you didn't really see that much difference between 1 to 10 and 10 to 20. They were all pretty much about the same in terms of difficulty. And then 10 through 20, or 20 through 30, you saw like a few rounds actually difficult and take some time. But other than that, it was really just long rounds because you're obviously doing less damage compared to the boss health. And you're basically relying on orbals at that point. So that's pretty much it. I think there's still about 10 minutes left in the video, so I might just kind of cut some music here. Pretty much talked about what I wanted to. I do have 29 recorded, so people do want to see that eventually. I can upload that as well, just for breakdown of that strategy-wise. But I did want to get this round 30 video out and have this kind of commentary just so you can kind of listen to it. But I know that's some long videos posted for today, so I appreciate you guys paying attention and tuning in. And once again, if you have any questions or comments about survival mode in general, or what your expectations are for the future for survival mode, just share them in the comment section and we can continue on the discussion there. As always, guys, take care. Thanks for watching.